Hi, everyone. This is your friend Bill Greeter. This learning unit from Atlas University is specific to how important coaching is to the A3 process. And you've been selected as, I think, someone that um, will be a really good coach and help us. And again, A3 is about one, building leaders. Keep that in mind as we go forward. The improvements are great, but it's really about continuing to develop people. It's about morale. It's about learning how to go through a problem solving process like the DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control in a systematic way. It's about or plan, do, check, act. Yeah. So without further ado, let's get through the coaching routine. Um, Here goes. So just to refresh, a lot of this is the Toyota production system, and these are the 5 steps that Toyota uses, and they're in our you can't argue with the fact that they're the most profitable of all historically of all the automotive manufacturers in the world. They're also very high morale. Um, People go and stay there. Their cars don't break, for the most part. But their problem solving technology is one, identify the problem, two, go grasp the situation, understand the problem, investigate causes, develop and test countermeasures, and then follow up. And those are the 5 steps. And they fit kind of nicely on the A3 form, where this is the long form, where the background would be step one, the current condition is step two, root cause is step three, target condition is an implementation planner, step four, and the follow-up is step five. So identify the problem. There it is, the background. Oops, wrong way. Grasp the situation, go and see. That would be number two. And that's go and see and record things, count, measure. Three is investigate causes. That would be right down there. Develop and test countermeasures. That would be four. That's when we're actually doing something to improve the situation. And then five is follow up. So what do I do as an A3 coach? So on the A3 board, there's a coaching column. The way I like you to think about coaching is you are the process helper. Okay. It's practicing servant leadership. As leaders, we are servants. We help. We develop. We want to see people succeed. That's what we do as servants, as servant leaders. We also want to help provide, teach, lean to the team and to the whole company at the closing. It's our job as coach to try to keep the improvement on schedule, right? The A3 process is meant to be 1, 2, 3 weeks at the longest, not 5 weeks, not even really 3 weeks. 1 or 2 weeks ideally is how long we want A3s from open to close. Okay, we want to be the tortoise, not the hare, though. We want to do it deliberately and smartly. We're the servant leader, we're a scheduler, we're the timekeeper, to make sure that the meetings stay less than a half an hour. And we're also in charge of Nemawashi, which means proceed slowly, consider many options, gain agreement, and then implement rapidly. So we want to slow people down. We want to stay on the left side of the form. We don't want people jumping boxes. In other words, that's the way we teach the DMAIC: define, measure, analyze, improve, control. We want to practice mentor-mentee dialogues, otherwise known as humble inquiry. And all that means is as a coach, I don't need to know how to fix the problem. It's not my job to do that. It's my job to ask open-ended questions, not yes/no questions. Open-ended, yes, no, or not. They're not open-ended, right? You're looking for affirmation of what you're thinking. And then again, I'm going to reiterate on the bottom one, we don't need to solve problems. That's not our job as coach, right? Our job is to develop people. So the A3 is about the leader, not the problems. Whoever's leading the A3, that's what the A3 is about. Everyone has a different role in the company, and It's not our job as coaches to come up with a solution. It's to help people learn and go through and get better at this process of A3. A3 is like a garden. It's a community garden. Can everybody work in the garden for 10 minutes a day, 15? This happens to be my garden, and I'm in there, once I get it planted, every 10, every day for at least 15, 20 minutes every single day, day in and day out, whether it's weeding, seeding, weeding, fertilizing, picking, whatever. But if I don't do that, I don't weed every day, for example, then everything starts to pile up and I have a lot of weeding ahead of me on my hands and knees. If I do it every day, I can do it with my hoe, standing up. So here's the 4 things coaches can do: seed, move, close, or check. So seeding is looking for improvement opportunities, looking for opportunities to get people on the board with things that make them stop their work. What are the unscheduled stops? They're working and then all of a sudden they got to stop and go do something, or you have to fix something, or they have to do something extraordinary. Those are the opportunities that we want to continuously be looking for. And really, in the back of your mind, it's always about continuing to develop these, Atlas's number one resource, which is people. The next step is to arrange the A3 prep meeting with the A3 leader. So whoever's going to lead the A3, the coach's job is to pull together a quick A3 prep meeting. And the objective there is to help the leader start the form, make sure you know where the forms are and grab them. Make sure every A3 is logged in. And I have a log of the 300 A3s or so that Atlas has done. And we want to make sure that this new one is logged in. We want to make sure that it's on the board. All right. And that would be, make sure that you write it on the board. Help fill out the top right, the problem statement in the background. Make sure the leader makes the title a problem statement. Make sure the leader doesn't fill out anything else without his or her team. And then it's your job as coach to arrange the first full team meeting. So let's talk a little bit more about the A3 prep meeting. The problem, let's say, is separating, all right, after deburring, separating parts from the stone. You can take pictures of it, shoot a video of it. But we want to understand when we have this A3 prep meeting, what problem we're going after, right? And then if you look, a couple of things, you look down the bottom left here, these are the 2 forms that Atlas uses. The long form is on the left and the flash form is on the right. The long form, the only thing that we can fill out without our team is the title, background, the owner, the project type, and the start date. And then you can pick out the team members. You can go through some thinking with the A3 leader of who they need on their team. And keep in mind, an A3 team is always going to be 3 to 5 people. And that doesn't count the coach. Okay. We don't want to go over 5. We want to have at least 3. For Flash, you can go with 2 people, but we only can fill out this top portion, what the problem is, and who the team is. Okay. Now, the difference, again, just as a reminder, the long form is used when we don't know the answer and we need a team to figure it out. 2 is, in the flash form, is we know the answer. We just need help getting to getting it done. And I think the A3 prep meeting is a good time to talk about which of the 8 wastes are we going to be going after, with this A3. So in the case of separating, it's probably things like motion, probably things like waiting, because it takes exorbitant amount of time to do it by hand. So that person is, other jobs are waiting. It's probably defects, because it's very difficult sometimes to, you might make a mistake and you might, it's not that easy. And non-utilized talent, it's something that a machine can do, a robot can do. Instead, you're asking a human being to do this task. So you want to talk about, which of the 8 wastes that we're going to address here, with this A3. So that's the first step, is seeding. Second step is, the second thing we can do is moving. And that means, how do we make the project move along, even if it's really slowly, but how do we get it to move, right? So the first thing is to arrange the first meeting or huddle with the team. And when the team comes together, it's your job as coach to make sure everybody shows up at that meeting. All right. And the first meeting is about the background, which you've already filled out. You already kind of know in words what we want to do. All right. Or the problem statement here. And we want to start digging into the current condition. In other words, what are the things that we can measure? So if the problem is separating takes a long time, a human, we have to put resources on it. They have to be sitting there for an hour or more sometimes. Well, once we get into the current condition, we want to know how long does it take? How often do you have to do it? How many people does it take, etc. This is where we collect data, and we want to make sure that everybody understands that. So at that first meeting, we're going to say, all right, what are we going to measure, guys? How do we get? That's usually the hardest part of the A3 is understanding how do we measure the problem. The coach's job is to do the form in order. As a review, we start at the title, the top. We work our way down to the root cause. So current condition, root cause. Then we go back up to target condition. And each box can't get filled out until the one before it's done. We want to make sure the team does that. Don't jump to fixes, right? The A3 leader wants to make sure the meeting stays at 20, 25 minutes or less. It should be standing up. It should be where the work is, where the problem is, not nice and comfy, cozy sometimes, because sometimes those meetings go for a long time. Make sure that you remind the A3 leader not to leave that meeting without planning the next one and what everyone will provide. And remind the A3 leader to have 2 meetings per week, if possible. The next thing, so we got seating, moving, closing. Closing is review the completed form with the A3 leader, coordinate the closing, and make sure that on the A3 board, the magnet goes from yellow to green. Remind the A3 leader to present the improvement in the order of the form, and brainstorm with the A3 leader which wastes have been addressed. So is it motion? Is it waiting? Is it unused employee brain power? Is it unnecessary transport? Is it defects? Whatever. And we want to use those closings as a way to continue to make Atlas a lean machine. So make sure, my job as coach is to make sure the A3 leader and their team meet their closing date. And what we're working toward is we have closings every 2 weeks. At least 1 or 2 things, sometimes 3, are going to close every couple of weeks. And help the A3 leader capture follow-up ideas as people are asking questions, or there might be other things that come out at the closings that can go right back up on the board. And then the 4th thing, so it's seed, move, close, and checking. And checking is keeping a list of A3s you've coached to go see. Is it still working? Or do we need to do it again? Or do we need to have further improvement? Is the customer satisfied? The team that did it, are they happy with their improvement? And all you got to do is go see the original A3 leader and check it at 30 and 60 days. Put it in your calendar, go back and check. Check to make sure new follow-up projects that might have come from the closing have been seeded onto the board. And is a project listed as active still relevant? There's times when your A3 board, there might be projects there that just aren't moving. Maybe it's, we have to have a discussion about taking them off, but the only person that can tell you, yeah, take it off, is the leader. No one else can do that. So how do I know I'm coaching well? 1, I'm serving. Coaching is servitude. Okay. It's not about being the boss. It's not solving problems for people. It's not telling people what to do. The meetings are regular. So in other words, we have it at lunch, right after lunch. As soon as we get back from lunch, we have it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Monday and Wednesday, or whatever, but they're regular and everybody shows up. The meetings stay on topic. You're beginning to practice humble inquiry, not leading the witness, trying to avoid yes, no questions. That's really hard. This is a very hard skill. And it comes with practice. If you're coaching well, the projects that you coach close faster. All right. And the biggest thing is people that you're coaching well if people are getting through the process all the way to closing and enjoying themselves. This is about fun. All right. And those are the things that happen when you get good coaching on these A3 process, on this A3 process. And that's the end. Hope you enjoyed it. I have a quiz. Please take the quiz and send it directly to me, and we can review together and we can start coaching. Thank you.